And good morning. Glad to have you with us for another edition of the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX, sorta, and WMIXsports.com.
Yeah.
We're glad to have you with us. Courtesy of Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Yeah, you better believe it, of course. WMIXsports.com. Of course, you can always find us online. We'll actually be rolling out our broadcast schedule sometime soon. Probably need to get that done today, as we will actually be starting with basketball coverage on Tuesday night. It's hard to believe, but the WMIX Sports Basketball Showcase will take the airwaves, of course, on Tuesday, as Matt Patterson will make his Woodlawn Lady Cardinals debut against the Murfreesboro Red Devils. Pregame will be 6:45. Your tip-off time will be 7 p.m. And, of course, we'll talk with Matt Patterson a little bit later in the program. But before we totally switch gears to basketball, and yes, I'm going full circle and getting to the point of all of this, we'll wrap up the Mount Vernon Rams football season. Very successful 7-4 campaign for Jared Shaner and the Mount Vernon Rams. We'll talk with Coach Shaner to open things up here in just a bit. We'll also talk with the Wizard of the Wabash, Robert Bowser. He is the voice of the Mount Carmel Golden Aces on sister station Wing FM 94.9. Speaking of which, you can listen to that game today with the Greenville Comets at 1 o'clock with the 12 o'clock pregame, of course, on Wing and wingfm.com. Of course, then we'll talk with Matt Patterson, of course, of the Woodlawn Lady Cardinals as we shift gears into basketball for the year. We'll talk with Greg Alvis of the Weber Lady Trojans as he takes the helm there in Blueford. We'll talk with Deirdre Dagg of the Wayne City Lady Indians. Rick Metcalf will step by. We'll talk with Coach Metcalf, of course, about his SVW Lady Devils. We'll talk with Andrew Sloan. Andy, of course, is the head coach of the Benton Rangerettes. And then we'll talk some basketball rule changes with IHSA basketball clinician Aaron Wright. They call him A-Dub for short, of course, but we'll talk with him about some of the basketball rule changes. So it should be an exciting program today.
Well, it's that time of year you got to change things and everybody south of 64, not named East St. Louis, is out of football. Of course, Mount Carmel is north of 64, Edwardsville north of 64. So those are the closest ones. Althoff gets to go take on Rochester, and we wish Althoff the best of luck because Mount Vernon's been there 12 weeks ago, playing the three-time defending 4A state champ Rockets. Mount Carmel Greenville, that's been a matchup a lot of people were looking at, and it came to fruition after Mount Carmel gave up a 42-13 lead. Carterville tied it in the end of regulation. Mount Carmel wins it in overtime at Carterville last week in a classic. Edwardsville is at home. East St. Louis is at, New Lenox Providence, the Providence Catholic School. That's a matchup they haven't played since 2006. On a Friday night over at East St. Louis. So it's an interesting time. Of course, high school football's in the quarterfinal round. High school girls basketball starts next week. A plethora of tournaments will start happening now next week, the week of Thanksgiving, and the week after. Then you get a week off, and then the Conrad Allen comes around or two, and then you go into the holiday tournament season. You get a couple of weeks, and then here comes midwinter. It's going to start rolling very quickly, and, of course, east side of town here in Mount Vernon, Summersville Grade School hosting their annual shootout of multiple teams Thursday, Friday, and today and tonight. Several good games on the docket all the way around there at Summersville Grade School today if you're looking for some junior high basketball to kind of carry you over until the high school girls basketball starts on Monday.
No doubt about that. And, of course, our coverage begins next week as well. We'll get all of that online as soon as we can on WMIXsports.com. Hard to believe it. We have 3 games already next week on the WMIX Sports Basketball Showcase.
3 the first week.
I don't even want to know the second week.
The second week is 5 at Heron with the Rams, plus 1 for us at Nashville. Of course, there's other people with the Lady Rams going to do games we've got figured out. But, that's 9 in the first 2 weeks. Plus, the next week is a 6-game week. The last week, I believe, Waltonville plays in the SIU shootout on Saturday night on the first Saturday of December. So very, very busy time for us over the next few weeks. That's for sure as we kick into full gear.
Next few weeks. Don't sell ourselves short. We're busy until June at this point.
My mind goes to Christmas, and then I'll memorize about Christmas for the rest of the run.
Now, if you have the schedule memorized up until that point, you're already like 5 steps ahead of me. I'm lucky to know next week.
Well, I mean, I got a good idea where I'm at basically through 3 weeks already because I've started to memorize the multiple towns.
Nice.
Looking forward to going to Heron, Nashville,
I love Heron.
Oakville. Can't wait to get to Oakville. That's always a fun time over there. I always learn something in Oakville from Coach Krause and Coach Hack. I always learn something from them. So looking forward to going over there. But we got to switch around because we got to get football started and finished. What's wrong with Southern Illinois football? Can't get out of round 2. And now, Althoff's the only one left out of the 3 conferences. And then football starts. I don't think all the teams should be allowed to be in. That would be a waste of time. I wouldn't want my 9-0 team playing a 2-7 team, but somewhere, something. I don't know if football's going to recover. I mean, Les Winkler had a good article this week where, I feel your pain. I'm downloading. Soccer with club sports with year-round playing individual sports is starting to hamper football, and one has to wonder if football in Southern Illinois is going to go back to the way it was in the mid to late 80s and early 90s, mid-90s, where you never planned anything on Thanksgiving because you always knew on TV you were going to have somebody from down here probably playing in the state finals. Not the case anymore if Southern Illinois can't get out of the second round.
That's the case, and it is kind of frightening when you think about it, I guess, if you really go deep into the landscape of that thought. But a lot going on right now. Of course, we talked about shifting gears today, but we also have the volleyball state finals going on. We'll touch on that a little bit later on. We have the scores on WMIXsports.com.
New Athens lost.
New Athens lost to Stu Strauss, who was also in the coverage area.
They're up there all the time. New Athens in the coverage area, too, right now.
Yeah, they all are.
Edwards County won. Breeze Central got beat by the private school.
Wheaton St. Francis,
of course.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Saw them at the Class 3A state tournament in baseball.
The blue San Francisco Giants gear.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad get-up, though. I was impressed. But, of course,
lie.
when you have that extra money rolling in, you can do what you want. But you can get who you want to. But, yeah, so we wish Edwards County, best of luck win that state title. And, of course, New Athens and Breeze Central bring home third. And let's bring some big trophies back south.
What a story over there in Albion. And, of course, we'll get to Jared Shaner here in just a moment. But just a phenomenal story over there with Linda Oxby, of course, who's been battling breast cancer. And, the team attempting to do this for her, playing for a state title today against Immaculate Conception, of course, out of Elmhurst. That's a team you might
That's football power there for a while. DuQuoin will remember that. So, who's listening to us? We're kind of down.
We're on Twitter. We're at WMIX Sports. We're having technological issues on personal levels today, as our laptops do not seem to be functioning as they should right now. But
hey, listen, at JK Stu 3 listening in on to us today as he drives to Champaign.
That's on Twitter heavy lately. With the retweets and the favorites.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
Well, I made a mistake. I downloaded an upgrade on Windows to 8.1. And currently we're running on, when did I start this? At 7:40, so we're running on about a half hour. This thing's starting to reboot.
And my issue is that I am very, very lazy with my little VIO here and that I never shut it down or restart it. So this computer has actually just been opened and closed about 562 times.
And
I don't know that I've restarted since the start of football season.
Well, I'm applying the PC settings at 25% right now. This is 30-minute endeavor. You want to talk about feeling like I'm lost? I don't have anything in front of me to mess with? Yeah, this is it.
And what's
but
funny
we appreciate
is,
everybody tweeting in and listening on their way to different places.
Of course, lest we forget it, it's somewhat sad that I am kind of the de facto IT guy around here. I promise I do not treat the station computers this way. Frequently restart and take care of them. I just do not treat my personal property in that regard.
Careful with your arm. That pat can injure you at any time.
I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just saying that, 'cause I do have superiors that listen on a frequent basis to this program and just trying to be more cognizant of that fact. But anyhow, on the Saturday Sports Show, it is presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. We will talk with Mount Vernon Ramsat football coach Jared Shaner. In fact, there's no technical issues in the studio, so we might as well take a break and do that, and hopefully our computers will catch up. This is the Saturday Sports Show from WMIX Sports. Back after these.
A digestive problem can affect every area of your life. But now there's a specialist right here in town who focuses on digestive health. Mayo Clinic trained Dr. Tegpaul Atwal has opened the only gastroenterology clinic in Mount Vernon. Dr. Atwal treats acid reflux, gallbladder problems, inflammatory bowel disease, ulcers, and more. For your appointment with Dr. Atwal at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 618-241-9071.
More Americans are on a move today than ever before. One of the most popular modes of transportation is the motorcycle. Motorcycles take us to our jobs, school, to the beach, and all around the country. If you're a bike rider, your Pekin Insurance Agency, Page Insurance on Crownview in Mount Vernon, wants to make sure you have the best insurance protection while you're riding. Ask about the money-saving auto cycle discount and the experienced driver discount, too. Call Page Insurance at 242-7000 today about motorcycle insurance from Pekin Insurance.
Here's Jeff Schmidt for Schmidt Chevrolet of Mount Vernon. The Sonic is a car that has done well for us, and we're moving out the remaining 2013 Sonic. I know people that have come in looking for pre-owned cars and have driven off with a new Chevy Sonic because they're so affordable that they can get into a brand new car with a brand new warranty for basically the same payment. So the Sonic is really a good deal for people.
Schmidt Chevrolet of Mount Vernon, 3423 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
And we welcome you back on the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX and WMIXSports.com. As always, it's powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
No doubt about that. Of course, we welcome to the program. He is the head coach of the very successful Mount Vernon Rams football. He is Jared Shaner. Coach, good morning.
Morning, guys. How are you?
You know what? Fantastic. And I think, looking back, obviously you always want the win whenever possible, but you conclude your season in the second round of the IHSA Class 5A playoffs against a very good Washington team who remains undefeated. But I think you have to take a look back at 2013 and realize it as a major success.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Sometimes we've talked about it's hard during the season to take those steps back and realize, the things that you're accomplishing. You're just so focused on, the week at hand and preparing your kids and things like that. But we're getting ready to have our banquet this upcoming week, so I've had a little bit of time to reflect and think about some things, and definitely just a fun, exciting season for our football program.
And a fun and exciting season indeed, and just so many exciting moments, of course, throughout the campaign. And you take a look back at week one, and we under the impression that Rochester may not be as good as they have been in years past, but going up there knowing that they are still going to be a well-coached, fundamentally sound football team. And you take the loss in that one, but Braden Fitzgerald's the key highlight in that game from an offensive/special team standpoint on the 94-yard kickoff return that kind of set the tone offensively for the Rams, of course, as far as the season, as far as kind of some razzle-dazzle and flashy speed. And from then on, it seemed like even though that was a loss, things really took off for the Rams that next week in Amascuda.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, going into the season, there were obviously, we felt like there were some unknowns about us, and then about, our week one opponent in Rochester. And I know Coach Leonard pretty well, and he assured me a few years ago when we were getting together to sign the contract that he just felt like they were not going to be as good in the upcoming years. And, fortunately for them and unfortunately for us, that hasn't been the case. They keep rolling along, and I think Althoff might find that out today.
Speaking of this season, is there a particular time of the year or a particular play where not your coaches and you or yourself, but your players kind of said, you know what, this year is going to be special based on a certain play or a certain game this season?
Yeah, I think after our triad game, we got ourselves to 2-1. And, of course, obviously, like we just said, that one loss being to a very good Rochester team. And I just think from that point on, our kids kind of started to believe that we were going to be a good team this year. Then we had our all-top game and did not play well in the first, almost 3 quarters of the game. But they just kind of kept believing and kept plugging away. And I think that point right there in the season was, kind of a point for our kids to say, hey, you know what, we're going to compete with everybody left on our schedule and, hopefully get ourselves to the playoffs. So I kind of look at that game, 2 games right in there, about a third of the way through the season where the kids started to believe in themselves and the abilities that they had.
Looking at this team, of course, with the end of the season being last Saturday, a group of seniors that have kind of built things and they've been through some down times in the program. Talk about your seniors that strapped on the pads last week for the final time.
Well, I think I had a chance to sit down with one of them yesterday who writes for our little school newspaper here, and Tyler Knudsen, and he asked me a few questions. And I really think I sure hope that I'm fortunate enough to be able to coach for a long time till I retire or maybe past that. I think this is going to be a group of kids that I'll remember very vividly and have some great memories of for a long time to come. There's 12 seniors on our football team this year. And just some kids that really persevered and stuck through some very difficult times and really I think just made themselves into a good quality playoff football team through just sheer hard work. To a man, all 12 of them committed themselves this last summer and really just did a nice job in the weight room and became leaders and good young men.
Well, and you take a look back at just this entire season. I think back to before the Rochester game, being around you guys for a slight bit, but also seeing the action of some of the kids on the team. And it just seemed like this was a team that had a chip on their shoulder coming in. And I think back to basketball season when Doug Gardner, of course, guaranteed us a playoff appearance last winter. And it just seemed like a different type of mentality with the Rams in 2013. And that seemed to be a lot of the difference as well.
It did, and I think that was key. I think there's a couple things. I think we had some natural leadership, and then here at school, we do a leadership council throughout the off season where we select 10 to 12 kids and have monthly meetings and kind of try to develop some leadership skills. So I like to think that maybe that helped a little bit with some of these guys as well. And like you said, I think the kids knew that if they put in, the hard work and the effort, that at least we'd have the chance to be a solid football team this year. And fortunately for us, that's the way things worked out.
Of course, the banquet this week, that ties a nice little bow and finishes up this 2013 season. Tell our listeners what the off-season schedule is going to be like to get ready for 9 months from now when opening week begins.
Sure. It's pretty crazy. We've talked about it before. Kind of high school sports is, you're always doing something for your sport. So what we'll do is we don't do anything with the kids right now until after Thanksgiving. We do that for a couple reasons. It's for physical reasons as well as mental and emotional reasons. You need to step back a little bit and just get away. And the other thing is we really encourage our kids to play other sports. So obviously right now in the winter we have boys basketball and wrestling. We've encouraged lots of our guys to try out or go out for one of those two things. And so we give them a little bit of a break, and then from Thanksgiving till Christmas, we'll meet as a team and just lift weights together 2 days a week after school. From Christmas to spring break, we kind of up it a little bit, and we go 3 days a week after school. And then from spring break through the end of the year and into the summer, we have our summer program, and we lift weights and work out and do all those things 4 days a week. So that's kind of the way we do it, and we throw some fun things in there as well. As you guys know, when we really start getting into the summer and stuff, then we have a few little 7-on-7 tournaments and a couple other things that we do. In the spring, we go to a weightlifting tournament together. So there's no rest for the wicked, I guess. You get a couple weeks here, and then it's right back at it, and you try to shift gears and focus on the next season.
Let's get right to it. We'll let you play analyst right now. Altoff at Rochester today. The South 7 plays the Central State 8 again in a quarterfinal round game. What do you see in this one as Rochester looking to go for another state title?
I sure think Rochester, I'd be very, very surprised if the outcome is not them on top. I don't think Altoff is going to be able to run the ball on them. They may have a little success throwing, I think maybe depending on weather. But I just think on both sides of the ball, Rochester's just going to be a little too solid for them.
You're a Central Illinois guy. You've been here in God's country now for 3 years. What do you think? Southern Illinois is out. Altoff's the last remaining team south of 64, Interstate 64. When you look at Southern Illinois football from the northern central perspective, why do you think that's going on? What do you think is happening that Southern Illinois football teams can't get past that second round on a consistent basis?
Yeah, I think I was listening to you guys before we started here, and then, as a matter of fact, the coaches just talked about this the other day, and it came to me, I think, relatively quickly. I think the biggest difference when we talk about the schools who are kind of, perennial powerhouses and the ones that have been, in the third, the fourth, the state championship rounds, to me it's all about, geography and big cities. And if you look kind of those perennial schools, most of them have a big population around somewhere. And I'll use kind of some very easy ones. Rochester is right outside of Springfield. Springfield's a city of 150,000 people or right around there. Sacred Heart Griffin is obviously right in there. Another program that is very good is Chatham. Obviously, it's pretty easy to look, the suburb schools. You have, Chicago and a couple million population, and then you add in the suburbs. But I think, especially with a little bit larger schools, say 4A to 8A, I think there's definitely a kind of a correlation between large metropolis and good, just more kids to pick from, which, typically turns out to better football. Peoria is another example. You've got places like Washington right outside of Peoria, or Metamora right outside of Peoria. So I think it kind of has to do with some population things.
Final question for you is, of course, our WMIX Sports social media question of the week. And this week's question is, being that it is letter of intent time of the year, we're asking everybody, if everything went right, you could pick the school, the university, and the sport, where would you go play your college career at?
Wow, that's a great question. Just off the top of my head, the first thing that pops in, I would say if I could pick and I was an athlete and had my choice, I think it would definitely be football, and it would have be at one of the service academies. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. I just think just watching their games, there's really something special about those guys. They are truly student athletes, and then they have a whole nother component of the military and serving their country. So I just think that's pretty honorable and pretty noble, and those guys are pretty cool. I'd like to, if I could go back and pick, I think that'd be it.
Nice. That's solid stuff, Shaner. Of course, it was a great 2013 football season. Of course, I know you'll be with us some for basketball as well, helping out with our coverage again. We look forward to that, and we basically just look forward to what's to come with Rams football over the coming years.
Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate all the time and effort you guys put in for our football program and having me each week, and it's a lot of fun. I enjoy talking to you guys.
Please eat one of those delicious rolls for me at the Elks on Tuesday at the banquet. Don't forget.
I'll do better than that. I'll have 2 of them for you.
There we go. I appreciate it. That's Mount Vernon Rams head football coach Jared Shaner. 7-4 is where the Rams finished in 2013. A major success as they finish with the second round of the postseason. Bob Bowser to come here on the Saturday Sports Show, of course. Coming up right here on WMIX and WMIXSports.com, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back up to these.
This is Chase Landers with Landers Collision Centers. Imagine this. You're driving down the road. It's dark as can be outside. Thank goodness you just had that left headlight bulb replaced. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to see a thing. Now, close your eyes. Okay, don't close your eyes. You're supposed to be driving. Imagine noticing a slight twinkle off to the left, just above the ditch. What is that, you think to yourself? All of a sudden, whap! You've just encountered your first deer hit. The left side of your vehicle is beat up pretty bad. The next thing I want you to imagine is very simple. Picking up your phone and dialing 1-888-LANDERS to set up your repair. Deer claims are common, and usually a very simple process, which fall under comprehensive coverage. This is Chase Landers, asking you to allow Landers to be your collision repair shop of choice. Whether it be a deer hit, fender bender, or the regular, uh-oh, sorry mom, Landers is here for you whenever you need us. Big or small, Landers fixes them all. 1-888-LANDERS, that's 1-888-LANDERS.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. By now you have heard about our new One Checking product. The new One Account is a high interest earning, free checking account designed for everyone. Unlike other banks that pay interest on higher balance, this account pays interest on all balances. From high schoolers to Warren Buffett, One will work for you. You can talk to one of us at 244-3000 and learn about the details. One, exclusively at Community First Bank. You will be one happy customer. Member FDIC.
And we welcome you back, WMIX, WMIXSports.com. It's the Saturday Sports Show. It's presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Of course, Bob Bowser joins us now on the Saturday Sports Show. He is the voice of the Mount Carmel Golden Aces on Wing FM 94.9. Robert, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Fantastic. You're probably doing a little bit better, though. The 10-1. Wait, what week is this? Yeah, 10-1's right. 10-1 Mount Carmel Golden Aces. Of course, the Greenville Comets come to town today. It seems like another successful season for Mount Carmel football, a program that just continues to roll year after year.
Yeah, well, things are rolling pretty well. I tell you what, last week that fourth quarter was very exciting.
Well, last week in the fourth quarter, we get a score. Mount Carmel's up, 42-13, What in the world happened? Was Mount Carmel cruising into this, or did Carterville finally put up their stand that everybody expected?
Well, honestly, I can't explain what happened. I mean, I've been around football for 20-plus years as either an assistant coach, a head coach, a broadcaster, a fan. I really cannot explain what happened. What an exciting game, whether it's on the Carterville side, the Mount Carmel side. Boy, I tell you, you just couldn't have asked for a more interesting finish. I guarantee my voice wishes that it would have just continued as is for the first three quarters.
With this hype that went in, the hype that went into that ball game last week, obviously a lot of talk in the media, on the .coms and whatnot, multiple pages. I mean, Mount Carmel gets it out and gets out to that big lead. Did it happen so fast and so easily for the Golden Aces that maybe that when Carterville finally started to come around, that Mount Carmel didn't know how to react, didn't know how to handle being on the road in that kind of situation?
No, I really think it came down to, it wasn't like it was just boom, all of a sudden 42-13. And that took three quarters of football, every drive, methodically punching it down the field, putting it into the end zone and scoring. And the Golden Aces, everything that worked for the first three quarters just worked very well on offense for the Golden Aces. Their defense, that's been consistent all year long, was playing lights out. And then all of a sudden in that fourth quarter, Carterville breaks through, they get a score. Then next thing you know, they get an onside kick. They take it down. They get a score. They get another onside kick. Just things happened, and I tell you, we were sitting there with about a minute to go in the ball game, and it's still a 16-point game. That means you need 2 touchdowns and 2 extra points, or two-point conversions, and they got both of them. I mean, that just doesn't happen that much, and just a lot of things. This is one of those things that needs to be up on ESPN, instant classic.
Mount Carmel, since '96, has won 86% of their games against the river-to-river schools. I think they only have 3 losses in 18 years of play. You've been around Mount Carmel long enough to understand, what makes them so dominant when it comes to the river-to-river and other teams south of 64?
Well, right now, playing in that Big 8 conference that the Golden Aces play in, it's just a matter of, it's ingrained in them that whenever we play teams from Illinois, we are better. I mean, it just comes down to execution and the mental toughness, and somehow, I used to be playing against the Mount Carmel Golden Aces, and they've always had that aura about them. When Mount Carmel comes to your place, you might be in trouble. And it continues, whether it's the Southern Illinois River to River, whether it was the old NEC back in the day, whether it's the Black Diamond Conference now, and they meet foes in the postseason. It really just hasn't mattered who it is in Southern Illinois. When Mount Carmel comes to play, you have a very good chance of losing the ball game.
Well, speaking of coming to play today, the Aces get to host at the Pit against the Greenville Comets. This is a game that everybody was looking at when the pairings came out on Saturday night. What does Greenville bring to the Wabash River area today?
Well, much like what we saw a couple of years ago with the Comets, they're going to want to chuck the football all around the field all day long. I haven't heard much about the running game other than the fact that they do have a capable back in the backfield to be able to run the ball, but their bread and butter is throwing the football. And I tell you what, it's going to be a great matchup to see today between Greenville's offense and Mount Carmel's defense. That defense has been very stingy all year long. Yeah, I know they gave up 49 points last week, but just to put it in a little bit of perspective, if you look at the first 4 weeks of the season for the Golden Aces, they took on Harrisburg, Mount Vernon, Indiana, Princeton, Indiana, Breeze, Mater Dei. In those first 4 weeks, they only gave up a total of 50 points. So what happened last week at Carterville was kind of off the radar screen a little bit, giving up those 49 points. But so I think that's the key today, is to see what the Greenville offense can do against the Mount Carmel defense, and if we can stop that passing game.
Bob, you're probably one of the busiest people I know, but you always manage to take time to do prep. What do we really know about these 11-0 Greenville Comets coming into today?
Well, I tell you, I'm looking for it to be an outstanding ball game. Weather conditions, I don't think you could ask for much more perfect weather conditions today. Might be a little bit of rain, and that'll be interesting to see if the rain comes through or not. But at the same time, the Golden Aces have played Greenville twice. They're 2-0 against Greenville all time. They beat them in 1985. Of course, a couple years ago, 2011, beat them 49-19. And Golden Aces in quarterfinals, they are 5-1 under head coach Darren Peach in the quarterfinals. So right now, the Cards, the Aces, are stacked against the Comets. I tell you, I'm looking forward to this ball game with a 1 p.m. kickoff today.
Of course, that brings us to our final question, the infamous WMIX Sports social media question of the week. And this week we want to know, perhaps maybe now your answer might change, but maybe when you back at Red Hill when you were going through high school and graduating, if you could pick any sport at any college to play, which college and which sport would it be? Maybe like your dream.
Back when I was young and able to run and do all those fun things, growing up, I always wanted to play baseball for the University of Miami. I wanted to be a Miami Hurricane, play college baseball. Obviously, that didn't come anywhere close to fruition, and life's moved on, but I tell you, that would have been my one thing right there.
Robert Louis Bowser, you just stole my answer, but I appreciate the the similarities in mindset nonetheless. But that is awesome. That's actually my answer as well, as baseball at the U. And I, and this is a little known fact about you. Aren't you in the IHSA state record book for something like punt returns or interception returns for touchdowns or something?
Yes, I'm listed in there, tied with a slew of different guys. Had 2 punt returns, or not, 2 interception returns for touchdown. It was homecoming, 1986. What a great time! But well, I tell you what, those running days. I had hair back then, Chris. Believe it or not.
I've seen that senior picture in the halls of Red Hill High School at the sectionals.
Yep.
Basketball.
That scared away many mice out of that school. I tell you right now.
Awesome. Bob, I know you guys have a noon pregame today, Wing 94.9 or wingfm.com, 1 o'clock kickoff. Have a great broadcast, and good luck to the Aces against Greenville.
All right. Thank you for having me on the show this morning. Looking forward to it. Go Aces.
There you go. That's Robert Bowser, Bob Bowser for short. He is an administrator at Allendale, but in his spare time he calls the Aces for us on sister station Wing FM. Of course, that's 94.9 on the FM dial and wingfm.com. Now, hard to believe, but it's time to switch gears to girls basketball, and we will talk with a new varsity head basketball coach at Woodlawn High School, Matt Patterson, a name you're familiar with, a name synonymous with success. We'll talk with Matt after the break here on the Saturday Sports Show, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Mount Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzaik Ibrahim. A skilled cardiologist, Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
Hi, Roy Schmidt, Chrysler dealer at King City Chrysler Center, Mount Vernon. The 2013 Chrysler 200 sedan could be the perfect recipe of beauty and luxury with an added pinch of safety. The 200 Touring has beauty outside with powerful LED accented headlamps as well as precise chiseled profile. Inside, it's nothing but luxury with leather, heated seats, navigation, and Uconnect technology. With 0% financing or a total of $3,500 in incentives on the 2013 Chrysler 200, we are guaranteed to find a payment perfect for you. Chrysler is so confident in this IIHS top safety pick that they're offering a 5-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty that is unmatched by Honda, Toyota, and Nissan. You must come see our associates at King City Chrysler, 1603 Broadway in Mount Vernon, or shop us online at kingcitychrysler.com.
And we welcome you back on the Saturday Sports Show, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. Of course, Crossroads Community Hospital, where it's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
You betcha. Speaking of, we welcome Woodlawn Lady Cardinals head basketball coach Matt Patterson. He is making his high school varsity girls head coaching debut on Tuesday night. We'll have that game for you on WMIX FM, WMIXsports.com, as they take on the Murfreesboro Lady Devils at the DuQuoin Tournament. 6:45 your pregame, 7 o'clock your kickoff. All of that out of the way. Matt, good morning.
Good morning.
You know what? It's one of those things where you have plenty of experience at the coaching ranks. You've had plenty of success, of course, with back-to-back state titles most recently in boys junior high basketball. Of course, plenty of softball success at the junior high level, softball success at the high school level as well. So you bring that tutelage, you bring that expertise now over to the high school girls basketball side at Woodlawn, where numbers have been an issue the past few years. But from having seen the roster you sent DC, who forwarded it to myself, having seen the team picture on Facebook, looks like you got some pretty good numbers this year.
Yeah, we got 13 out, and it's a good number. A lot of kids that have basketball experience, a couple kids that are new, and a lot of freshmen. But so far, been a really teachable group, and they work really hard.
Taking the transition, of course, you've been a high school softball coach for a few years now. Taking the reins from the junior high level, of course, you coached girls first and boys, back-to-back state titles in this. Now to high school girls, the transition and differences between coaching at the junior high level compared to the high school level.
Yeah, obviously the same stuff that you're going to hear from a lot of people. It's stronger kids, and the speed's going to be a little quicker. But the way I've kind of told our girls, the way we've talked to them, it's still basketball. Gyms will be a little bigger, kids will be a little bit bigger, but do the things that we know we can do well, and we'll see how it works out.
Heading into this year, of course, you have new players, new people coming in, and you mentioned those players that are on that list. Tell us some of the names that probably be synonymous that we'll hear from softball, and it's also that are playing here and opening up your season next Tuesday at the DuQuoin Tournament.
We're still not quite set on a starting lineup. It'll probably be decided early Tuesday maybe on the bus ride down. But we're planning on probably rotating 8 or 9 kids. We got one senior, Allison England, who I've had at the junior high level and high school, so there's some familiarity there. Junior-wise, we got Michaela Ballard, Carly Etheridge, and Catherine Coleman. And a new one that just came out this year, Elena Chelf, will be playing. She's a junior. Sophomores, we got Casey Hales and Kirsty Harlow. Harlow got some experience last year at the varsity level, starting with that group a little bit. And our 6 freshmen, we have Ashton Palmer. Holly Beretta was from Grand Prairie, Michaela Crawford from Rome. And then we have Kara Luking, Lexi Knox, and Tatum Murdoch, all from Woodlawn. And the Palmer girls also from Woodlawn. So it's a good number. Our youth's going to kind of get thrown into the fire pretty quick. But we've talked to them, and they kind of know what we expect, and they're ready for the challenge.
Of course, next week the challenge is the DuQuoin Tournament. That's been kind of a staple for a while now for teams from Woodlawn to go do. And it's a good opening tournament. Talk about that tournament, what you expect out of getting your 5 games in over the next week or so.
I kind of like the 5 there in the first week. We can kind of see where we're at and what we need to work on. Obviously, there's some bigger schools down there, but there's also some 1As. I know El Dorado was in our regional last year. Steelville's a 1A. Johnson City's, I want to say 1A, but they might be 2. And then you got some bigger schools in DuQuoin and Murphy. So we'll get to see a little bit of everything. Some schools our size and some bigger schools that can challenge us. And we might take a couple licks down there, but we'd like to come out on the winning side 2 or 3 times and see how that works out. Conference-wise
this year, Midland Trail, you're jumping in and you're seeing obviously some new, familiar places you've been to as a fan, but now you're coaching that in the hardwood. What do you see for the Midland Trail this year?
You're going to have the same names in there. Wayne City's going to be well coached and good. Sandoval's been good the last few years, and I think they return quite a bit. And North Clay's notoriously pretty good in girls basketball. And Weber's got a new coach, and I saw them some this summer, and they look like they've improved a little bit. So I'd say it's pretty wide open conference-wise.
Well, when you take a look at the conference, of course, some changes to the conference. I believe Sisney, of course, no longer with girls basketball, and school finances are tough. Does it make it more difficult when you're going into your conference schedule and taking a look around the schedule of teams that may not necessarily be able to travel or have to, all these cutbacks and things like that, and some of these schools losing girls basketball, and then some schools just not having the numbers to put forth a JV team? Does that make planning more difficult when you're not sure game in and game out whom will be a 6-15 varsity or a 6-15 JV? Does that make things harder?
I don't think so. I know with the conference teams, they've kind of informed us early that they weren't going to have it, so we had a chance to fill those spots on the schedule and try to pick some games up. Sometimes with some bigger schools, other times with some 1As, but no, our girls will show up ready to play, and it's hard for us to be too picky about some things because we've been in that situation the last few years where you're playing just one game. So hopefully we don't have to worry about that on our side anymore, and we understand the difficulty sometimes getting numbers and finances. So it is what it is, and you just show up and play.
Show up and play you will on Tuesday, and we'll be there for your opener out Tuesday at DuQuoin. Our final question, you'll get used to this. You've already been used to it, is our WMIX Sports social media question of the week. Being that it's letter of intent signing time, and I'm not rubbing salt in any wounds.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, all right. Yeah, the wagon's open if you want to come to a school that gets recruits. Our question is, back when, if you could pick the sport and the university to go to and play, where would you go and what sport would you play?
It sounds kind of bandwagon, but there would have been two. If I could have played baseball, it would have been Miami, Florida. But my pick would probably be basketball in the University of Illinois. Always been a U of I fan.
Keep it up. That's
and
all I can tell you right now.
No fake hat grab or anything like that either. So.
No, my thoughts on that fake hand grab with who was involved yesterday with the decommits and the committing to other schools. There's got to be something shady going on with those other schools.
That's what I was thinking, but hey,
I'll admit it. I'll say it.
Of course, he'll say it.
Of course, I'll say it.
Matt, Pat, we wish the best of luck to the Lady Cardinals. Of course, we will see you on Tuesday night at the DuQuoin tournament as you make your high school girls basketball head coaching debut at Woodlawn. Of course, it'll be at DuQuoin on Tuesday night. We'll see you then.
All right, thanks, guys.
That's Matt Patterson, head coach of the Woodlawn Lady Cardinals, taking over the high school basketball program there after successful stints with the softball program there at Woodlawn as well. We look forward to it on Tuesday night. It's on the FM 645 pregame, 7 o'clock tip-off, WMIXsports.com. as well. We need to take a break. When we come back, we will talk with the head coach of the Weber Lady Trojans. He is Greg Alvis. His team will make their radio debut on Thursday night. We'll talk more about that after the break on the Saturday Sports Show. It's presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
I'm meteorologist Dave Bowers. We'll look at your next round weather. Mostly cloudy, windy, and warmer today with a few showers and a high of 68. And for tonight, windy and warm. Periods of rain, even a thunderstorm, a low about 60. Sunday's going to be windy and warm with a couple of showers and a strong to severe thunderstorm, a high temperature of 72. And then much cooler on Monday. A partly sunny sky, afternoon temperatures only be in the low 50s. Next round weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
Backaches, bad hips, rickety knees? Why not try aquatic therapy? The Red Lake College Aquatic Center has more than a swimming pool. Try a 6-lane, 75-foot lap pool, along with a whirlpool 10 feet in diameter and a 10-foot by 20 hydrotherapy pool. Aquatic therapy is very affordable. In many cases, the tuition is waived entirely. With special access and dressing areas for the elderly and physically challenged, getting in the water is easy. Experts are on hand to assist with various areas of aquatic fitness and rehab. Call 437-5321 extension 1207 or visit rlc.edu.
The health of your kidneys has a big impact on your overall health, affecting everything from your blood pressure to your bones. And if you ever have a kidney problem, Dr. Kangura is here to help. Dr. Kangura trained at the Mayo Clinic and specializes in conditions ranging from kidney stones and uncontrolled high blood pressure to chronic kidney disease. Dr. Kangura sees patients at Crossroads Specialty Clinic. For an appointment, call 618-241-9071.
Welcome back to the Saturday Sports Show, brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital. It's what healthcare should be. As we welcome into the show the new head coach of the Weber Township Lady Trojans basketball team, Mr. Greg Alvis. Greg, how are you this morning?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm all right. Thank you.
How are things going at Weber Township for practice in the first couple of weeks?
Well, we've had 2 good weeks of practice. Still a lot to do, a lot to learn, and hopefully we'll have some idea a little bit more where we stand after our first game Tuesday night.
And, of course, you took over this past spring as the head softball coach there in Blueford, and now that the Lady Trojans, of course, kind of have that familiarity with you, do you feel that's helped transition both them and yourself into basketball, of course, this winter?
Well, yeah, I've known some of the girls. We have a fairly different set of girls that play basketball than softball. But just being familiar with the school and, the ways of things that have been done, that's helped a lot. And I've got a good assistant who's been around out there, and Roger Yates. So he knows a lot of these kids really well. So, yeah, we've gotten a good group of girls out, and I think we're just going to be able to find out a lot more where we stand. We're pretty young, and it's hard to know with young kids just what to expect when you start playing.
Speaking of Roger Yates, a veteran of basketball in Southern Illinois, what has he brought to the table as far as experience in helping out your team in the first couple of weeks?
Well, Roger has, coached a lot of successful basketball teams over the years. So he kind of sees things, and he gives me a lot of ideas and thoughts, and he's able just to pinpoint things that he notices. And his perspective has just been very right on when we try to do things. So I'm just glad for that extra set of eyes that he can bring that sometimes you just need from another coach.
And that'll happen on this week on Tuesday. Gallatin County home, Wayne City at home on Thursday. We'll be there for that one. And then the Edwards County High School tournament, the 23rd to the 30th. That's a pretty good start for your team as far as getting out and testing yourself and testing the mettle for your girls in the first couple of weeks of the season.
Well, yes. We're going to have a lot of learning curve here early in the season. I'm just not sure what to expect, and we're really young, and we don't have a lot of varsity experience, and so we just got to be patient. Just got to understand that the kids are learning, and just try to continue to think positive with them. And it'd be nice to get off to a good start. Obviously, it just help our confidence a whole lot. But if we don't, I'm just not going to be surprised necessarily where we stand, because it'll just be a hard thing to kind of be able to gauge right now. But I think we'll be okay. I think we'll compete. I think we got some good athletes, and I think the girls won't back down. I think they'll be ready to go.
Of course, you do mention good athletes, and we've seen so many schools, especially in the Class 1A and the Midland Trail Conference even, with having difficulty maintaining numbers. What do the numbers look like over there at Bluford?
We do have enough for a JV team. We don't have great numbers, but we do have enough to field 2 teams. So that's encouraging. And I think things look good for the next few years. Like I said, we've only got 2 seniors on our team, so we'll have a lot of people coming back. We have a good junior high girls team this year. So I think we got a consistency in our program that's going to be there for a while, and we just need a lot of playing time for a lot of girls. So just that JV game is really going to be helpful to get some girls in, and we're going to have girls go both ways. So we're going to have them play JV and varsity, get a lot of quarters in. It may wear and tear on you a little bit, wear you down, but that's just the way it's going to have to be this year.
We will see you and your team on Thursday night when Wayne City comes down. We'll do that game on WMIX. But our final question to you is our WMIX Sports social media question of the week. And this week's question is, if you could pick any university and any sport to play, where would you go to school at, and what sport would you play?
Wow. Well, I'm a graduate of Butler University, and I guess if I could go back, and I'd go to my alma mater, and I'd like to play basketball there. Just getting on the old Hinkle Fieldhouse gym floor there in Indianapolis. That's just great history and great tradition, and many high school teams have played on there. So that's what I do. I play basketball at Butler University.
Solid answer. The Hinkle Fieldhouse, can't beat that. Of course, you can't beat Weber Lady Trojans basketball getting started on Tuesday night. Again, we will be there on Thursday against Wayne City. Coach, thank you for taking the time to join us this morning. We look forward to seeing you many times throughout the season.
Okay, we look forward to having you come out, and we'll hopefully have good hospitality for you out there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's Greg Alvison. Weber Township High School has never been anything short of less than one of the most hospitable places we've ever gone. So we always appreciate their hospitality. Can't wait to get back out there to the pit on Thursday night when the Wayne City Lady Indians come to town. Speaking of which, we'll talk Wayne City Lady Indians basketball here in just a moment. Of course, we'll take a break here shortly as we get to the top of the hour, and we appreciate the world-renowned author, editor, and just masterful wizard of the concussion blog, Dustin Fink, of course, tuned in on your terrestrial radio home for the Saturday Sports Show on AM 940 up north. Of course, have some listeners in southern Clark County as well, I believe. Some Colfax folks tuned in. Got them all over the spectrum today. Of course, we had quite a few tuned in last week as the Mount Vernon Rams concluded their football season against the Washington Panthers. In upwards of 2,132 were tuned in terms of video and audio last week on WMIXsports.com. And obviously we don't know the radio numbers, but if you figure you have 2,000 online, you can always figure out a whole heck of a lot more on the radio as well. So we appreciate everybody who supported the game last week and made it a lot of fun to call that one between the Panthers and the Rams, of course, as we had quite so many interacting with us on Twitter and Facebook. And don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter at WMIX Sports. Find us on Facebook as well, as you can answer our WMIX Sports social media question of the week. And now is probably as good a time as any to give you our answers. You know what? It's not. We need to do that after a quick break here on the Saturday Sports Show, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
The tradition of fine vehicles and great service continues at Second Chance Auto. They've been providing quality cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs for families like yours for over 33 years, and many are priced under $10,000. Plus, most have a 3-month or 3,000-mile warranty. Bank rate financing available with instant approval. No gimmicks, no pressure, just honest deals on great vehicles from your friends and neighbors at Second Chance Auto, living and contributing back to the community they serve. Located on Route 142 East in Mount Vernon, call 244-4582.
If you can't pick us up where you live, move. This is WMIX, Mount Vernon, Marion, another Withers Broadcasting Station.
The golden rule: treat others how you would want to be treated. Do you feel that's the kind of service you're getting from your pharmacy? It can be hard to find good customer care nowadays, but at the Medicine Shop Pharmacy in Mount Vernon, that kind of service is our #1 priority. You have options when it comes to your prescription and medical equipment needs. Don't put up with poor service and long waits anymore. It's easy to switch. Call me today and let me show you why the Medicine Shop should be your new pharmacy.
As you just heard, pharmacist and pharmacy owner Eric Black is committed to taking care of each and every customer that walks through his pharmacy doors. Stop by anytime and talk to Eric and his pharmacy staff. You'll soon find out why the Medicine Shop is your hometown pharmacy. Support the local community and give them a try. You'll be glad you did. Don't forget to take advantage of their free delivery, custom compounding service, medication planners, and so much more. The Medicine Shop Pharmacy, 2339 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. Now is a great time to move your account to Community First Bank. With our new One Account offering the highest interest rate in the market, free checking, and CD specials delivered by people you know and trust, why would you not bank with the market leader in Jefferson County? We offer 5 locations with 7 ATMs and have been serving the Jefferson County market since 1906. Stop in and see why our bank is the fastest growing bank in Jefferson County. Community First Bank. Welcome back to Personal Banking. Member FDIC.
And we welcome you back on the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. Second hour coming at you. Of course, we'll talk more girls basketball throughout. We'll also talk some basketball rule changes coming up later in the hour. Of course, Aaron Wright, IHSA clinician, not the IHSA clinician, but an IHSA clinician for those who might be .com followers. But we'll talk with ADub, of course, about some of the rules changes that will be enforced and points of emphasis this year with the IHSA and the National Federation of High Schools. But that said, our WMIX Sports social media question is going strong. If you could go to any college and play any sport, which college and sport what would you do?
This may be the most interesting one
What,
I'm not
Iowa
saying-
wrestling? I
No,
thought that was
no.
best.
There's been a new one added.
Oh.
Hogwarts for Kidditch.
I have no idea what that
Quidditch.
means.
Harry Potter.
I'm not a Harry Potter
Harry
guy.
Potter,
my bad.
flying on brooms, chasing after that. Okay, never mind.
Well, here's the problem. I don't have kids, nor am I in education to be around that age demographic of kids. Or grandkids, obviously. I don't have them. Gotta have one to have the other. So, yeah, I'm not. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Egg on my face, apparently. So is that your answer? Or is that... I have a feeling that is somebody
No.
not necessarily of
That's
relation
not
to
my
you, but
answer.
somebody
No.
that you know really well. I have a feeling that's probably their answer.
Basketball at the University of Kentucky. There is no better way to play.
Which era?
Any of them.
Really?
Except for Eddie Sutton.
Okay, there we go. I was going to make sure that you specified.
That was a...
I don't want to say that
From
I'm
88 I would have played. That would have been awesome. That would have been a cool team to play for. 89, 90... 89, 90 would have been rough. They did beat Shaq and Chris Jackson, Abdul Rahif Shareem, or whatever his name became.
Wow.
90 and 100 to 95 at Rupp. They beat Florida with about 15, 23 pointers that year. That would have been a fun team. The Unforgettables in 92 on.
You might have been the difference in that Duke game.
Minus the Billy Gillespie debacle, minus the last 4 years of the Tubby Smith debacle.
I remember somebody pretty excited when Billy Gillespie was coming to Lexington.
That lasted a quick blink.
Okay. My answer, of course, I was actually really surprised whenever others had my answer, but I guess I shouldn't be, and that would be baseball at the U. Baseball at Miami. And I actually almost went to Miami for school. I'm a go big or go home sort of guy, and so my two options, the two things that I was considering was staying home or going to
You would have gotten
Miami.
bigger over the years, A-Rod.
Well, it wasn't for sports. It was for academics. I had a half ride, and if I could have come up with the other 50%, that was what I really wanted to do, but I also know that I would have gotten homesick and it would have been pointless, so I just stayed home, and that's
Miami. Back in
what I
the
did.
day, back in my time, if I'd have went to Miami in my time, my goodness, The Rock would have been there, Warren Sapp.
I would
That'd
have
been a
just
crew
missed.
to be
I
around.
would have just missed the Ray Lewis era.
That'd been Ray Lewis.
I would have just missed Ray Lewis.
I would have been at the Ray Lewis era.
No, I wouldn't have. I would have just
I mean,
missed.
right now, Miami U is not as
I would have
not got
caught
that
the
fling.
tail. I would have been there for Frank Gore and his emergence, because it would have taken me 8 years to finish, probably. So I
It's the
actually
U.
been there for a lot of people.
It's
in
the
8 years.
U, man.
There we go. There are our answers. Of course, you can participate in the discussion on Facebook, facebook.com/WMIX Sports. Hit us up on Twitter at WMIX Sports as well. We need to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue the girls' basketball talk. Deirdre Dagg of the Wayne City Lady Indians will join us here in just a moment. It's all powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Dig in with full contact coal miner training at Red Lake College. Learn in our new 20,000 square feet coal mine training center. Use real equipment like continuous miners and power sitters, and check out the new mine rescue and fire safety training tunnel. Associate degree and occupational certificates available.
We're full contact, hands-on coal mining. Real equipment, real live, all the time.
What are you waiting for? Call 618-437-5321 and get started.
What does technology sound like? Is it the clang of heavy machinery, the beeps and chirps of an electronic gadget? At the new Good Samaritan Regional Health Center, technology sounds a little something like this.
It's the sound of a young girl excited because her mom's being released the same day as her minimally invasive surgery. Thanks to the Da Vinci surgical robot, our surgeons' hand motions are seamlessly translated into smaller, more precise movements. But surgery isn't the only way Good Samaritan is raising the bar for advanced healthcare in Southern Illinois.
That's the sound of a patient's health record being updated and stored electronically for immediate access by nurses, primary care doctors, and specialists alike. That's why soon, the new Good Samaritan Regional Health Center will use all electronic patient health records. Less paper translates to faster, better care for you. And that sounds a little something like this.
The new Good Samaritan Regional Health Center, raising a hospital, raising the bar.
This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Wilt. I want to thank Mount Vernon and the surrounding area for continuing to support us over the past 5 years. If you have never sat down with someone to go over your insurance program, let me invite you into our office. Let us show you what working with the industry leader, represented by a local agent, can do for you. I'm located just off 42nd Street. You can reach our office 24 hours a day at 242-1421 or on the web at tonywilt.com. Thanks again, and go Rams.
And we welcome you back on the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX and WMIXSports.com. It's all powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Our next guest is the head coach of the Wayne City Lady Indians, regional finalists from a year ago. Of course, at the El Verano Regional. We had those games on AM 940 for you, and of course on the FM as well, both of them. But anyhow, we welcome the head coach of the Wayne City Lady Indians. It's Deirdre Dagg. Coach, good morning.
Good morning.
You know what? A great season last year. You go to the regional championship game. You meet Galatia Thompsonville there at El Verado there in Jackson County. Come up just short, but you do lose some seniors this year. But I know you have quite a few girls returning. A nice nucleus coming into this 2013-2014 season.
We do. We lost 3 seniors last year. I have 2 returning seniors that then started last year. And then I have a slew of juniors that had so much experience last year that it's going to come in handy this year.
Going into this year, knowing that you had the success you did last year, is there a little more pressure maybe on you and the girls to fulfill and to outdo the expectations and the goals that were met last year?
You know, we were heartbroken over last year. That one point was heartbreaking. But the girls, it's a different feel this year. So, no, I don't think there's a pressure on them. They know what they have to do. They know that they have to work hard to get back to that spot. So no, I don't think any unexpected pressure, no.
Unexpected is when you took over. You have really revamped and shaped this schedule. You've jumped into the Hamilton County tournament in late November, the Fairfield tournament at Christmas, plus the MTC tournament, of course, in the beginning of January. You have definitely brought the strength to this schedule, the likes of Fairfield, Oakville as well, and Hamilton County on the schedule. Talk about going away from a traditional Wayne City schedule to the schedule that you have, where you're bringing in some bigger 1A and 2A schools to play.
Well, when I first got there, you know, I had 20 girls, and I needed games. I needed JV games, and we were struggling finding JV games. And we found that those bigger schools, you know, had those. Plus, you're not going to get any better unless you play teams that are better. And I really pushed our AD, Tony Richardson, to find some tougher games for us. And they're tough. I mean, we come out with our heads down sometimes, but we're not going to get any better until we face those better teams. And so I was a big pusher into getting that. The Hamilton County tournament, I'm excited about it. It looks like it's going to be a lot of competition. The girls are excited about it. We've always been in the Edwards County tournament. In the past few years, they've really dropped off as far as people pulling out. Palestine used to come, and they've not come anymore. So we really needed a tournament for us for Thanksgiving. So excited about the Hamilton County one.
And, of course, you guys get started on Monday night with Edwards County. Then you head to your alma mater on Thursday against the Weber Lady Trojans. And so you get kind of an interesting start. But the thing I take note of is that due to some financial cuts at some institutions, due to travel, due to state setbacks, things of that nature, of course, Sisney doesn't have a program this year. So you've had to play some of the teams in your conference twice, both in a conference game and a non-conference game. How do you prepare for the likes of a schedule like that, knowing that you're going to see some teams multiple times throughout the season in regular season play?
This is the first year that we're having to do that, so I'm not really sure how I'm going to prepare for that. Because it's a lot of times we'll see them in tournaments, and we play them 2 or 3 times. Well, now we're looking at playing them, at least 3 times, and then possibly again at regional. So it's always tough to play those many teams that many times, and be prepared and be ready to go.
How and where will the conference tournament be set up in January?
That's a good question. I do not know actually where the conference tournament is this year. That's awful to say.
Does the conference know where the conference tournament will be this year? That's half the battle.
It may not know. TR is really good about telling me when I need to know. I have 100 different things going on, so he kind of just one at a time. That way I can keep track of everything. I think maybe it's North Clay this year for some reason is where I think that it's their turn, but I'm not really sure exactly how that will work out. And, we're short on numbers on our conference. Sisney doesn't have a team this year. The way I understand it, Noble, this is their last year having a team. So we are our conference is really starting to hurt on the girls' side of basketball.
Of course, you have the numbers to have a JV team this year, and you mentioned having so many girls when you took over, and it was tough to find JV games. Are JV games, as teams start to lack numbers, becoming hard to find again?
They are. The way I understand it, our conference now has made a rule that if we have 10 girls or more, that we have to play a JV game, which some in the past they had 10 and they didn't want to play a JV game. So they've changed that for our conference, which is great for us. But, yeah, girls just sports aren't as important as they used to be. And I had so many girls my first couple of years, and that you don't get the playing time, and it's hard to stay in a sport when you're not getting to play, and you're going to practice every day, and you're working just as hard as everybody else, and it's hard to stay on that team. So the numbers seem to dwindle down every 4 years, and so this is the least number I've had since I've been here, and it is tough, definitely.
Well, when quantity lacks, of course, you hope for quality, and you have some girls that plenty that went to this regional championship game a year ago. Many of them played softball. That they went to a sectional this past season. Is that success helping change the mindset there in Wayne City?
It is, yes. Softball was an awesome year for us, and I'm lucky enough I get to help coach that as well. And it does change the mindset of the girls. They're a lot more confident. They understand what you have to put in to get there. Before, we've never been to those situations, and practices. They understood they had to practice, but they didn't understand how hard they had to work. And now that they've been there and they understand how much they had to work for it, it makes a big difference.
Of course, the WMIX Sports social media question of the week has been easy for some, tough for others. But we ask, if you could go to college to play any sport, which sport would you choose?
Well, I was lucky enough to get to go to college and play basketball and softball at Missouri Baptist. But what little girl doesn't dream of going to play for Pat Summitt, girls basketball? That has always been my dream, to be able to play for the University of Tennessee and play for her. So any little girl that's playing basketball, that was always their dream.
There you go, the legendary Pat Summitt at UT. And, of course, Coach, we will see you on Thursday night as your Lady Indians travel to Weber Township.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's always nerve-wracking for me to go back to my home school for some reason. I always get nervous going back to Weber, but there is no better place to play, I think.
There you go, the Pit. We'll see you on Thursday night.
Great, thanks.
That is Deirdre Dagg, of course, head coach of the Wayne City Lady Indians, and they will start their season on Monday night at home against Edwards County. We'll pick them up on Thursday. They travel to the Pit at Bluford, Weber Township High School. Let's see, that'll probably be, I know they're doing a shortened JV game, so that'll be a 6 o'clock or 6:15 JV start, I believe 5-minute quarters. So we'll probably be on the air sometime around 7 o'clock in that one. If you want to tune in on 94.1 FM, online at WMIXsports.com. We'll see our next guest the following night. He is the head coach to the Cestro-Valier-Waltonville Lady Devils. He is Rick Metcalf. We'll take a break, come back and talk with Coach Metcalf about the Lady Red Devils prospects in 2013-14. It's a girls basketball preview today on the Saturday Sports Show, and it's all powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
I'm meteorologist Dave Bowers. We'll look at your next round weather. Mostly cloudy, windy, and warmer today with a few showers and a high of 68. And for tonight, windy and warm. Periods of rain, even a thunderstorm, a low about 60. Sunday's going to be windy and warm with a couple of showers and a strong to severe thunderstorm, a high temperature of 72. And then much cooler on Monday. A partly sunny sky, afternoon temperatures only be in the low 50s. Next round weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
A digestive problem can affect every area of your life. But now there's a specialist right here in town who focuses on digestive health. Mayo Clinic trained Dr. Tegpaul Atwal has opened the only gastroenterology clinic in Mount Vernon. Dr. Atwal treats acid reflux, gallbladder problems, inflammatory bowel disease, ulcers, and more. For your appointment with Dr. Atwal at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 618-241-9071.
And we welcome you back. Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. Chris Huber with Danny Zerwinski alongside Jeff Crow in studio with us as well as we welcome the head coach of the Cestro-Valier-Waltonville Lady Devils. He is the legendary Rick Metcalf. Coach, good morning.
Hey, good morning to you, too.
You know what? Very successful as the head coach of just about anywhere you've been. Actually, everywhere you've been successful, but especially now with the SVW Lady Devils. And, of course, just indescribable success, of course, down there at SVW. And you get started here soon, of course. You have the Sparta tournament coming up this week. And first of all, I know as a 2A with the co-op that you've certainly not had to necessarily worry about numbers, but how are numbers this year?
Well, we got 15 girls out. This is actually the lowest number I've ever had as far as having, been coaching now for 29 years. But from what I've been told, as far as the girls can go, that's a good number to have.
Good number to have. Last year, a very good squad. You lost a lot of talent, guard position wise. You lose Miller, Lappin, Eskew, among others. Talk about your returnees this year. They're going to help guide and lead your team.
Right. Those people you just mentioned. You don't replace a crew like that. You just try to fill in the spots and go with what you have there. Most notably, Rachel Marlowe. She's a returning starter coming back, and we're looking for some leadership out of her. She's a senior, along with Michaela Williams, another 3-year starter. She's been doing a good job for us in practice. Bailey Jones is going to get a lot of time. Cheyenne Pittsford as a junior. My daughter, Katie Metcalf, she'll be in the 6th, and Maddie Donner and Daisy Edmonds from up your way.
Up in Waltonville way, Daisy Edmonds, of course. And, of course, your team opens up with the Sparta tournament. A very good test for your team, playing the likes of Redbud, of course, Trico, conference foe, and then, of course, Sparta Lady Bulldogs. A nice test for a couple different conferences you get to see teams from.
Yeah, we like it. They always treat us real well when we go over there, and the only bad part about it is, you're playing Trico, a conference opponent. They have a new coach, so we really don't know what to expect, out of that outfit. But we love playing the bigger schools. I've always liked playing River schools, and it'll be a good challenge for us right off the bat.
Good challenge for your team. And the thing I like about it is you also, like Wayne City, have definitely powered up your schedule, and the fact that you add some teams as the season goes along, get ready for that 2A run. Talk about scheduling-wise, high school girls basketball, how easy, how hard that is to get teams on your schedule that you want.
Yeah, that's a good question. I've been pretty lucky, like right when I got in, I talked to Coach Sasso, our athletic director, and said, let's bump this up as much as we can. And our first home game this year is against Benton, River opponent, and that's always a good contest for us. And then, no disrespect to the Chester tournament, but, we were beating people 50, 60 points over there. It just kind of came into time management, so we got out of that tournament, and we're going down to the Heron tournament now, which is a very prestigious girls tournament in Southern Illinois, so we're looking forward to that challenge as well.
You mentioned that, and I look at your bookend. Your last regular season game before that Heron tournament is at Ziegler. You come back after that tournament, have to go to Chester to open in January. That's a very difficult stretch there for your team. Maybe are you going to learn more about your team during that stretch and maybe any other during the season?
Well, you hope so. Whenever you play in tournaments, of course, you want to win the tournament. That goes without saying, but you want to always take a step forward. You don't want to go back, backwards. And also you can see your bench personnel because, we've always liked playing a lot of people. I play 9-10. It's kind of a joke, around here. But if you're on our bench, you're ready to play. It doesn't matter if you're 15th or the 6th man. You're going to get an opportunity to show me what you have. And we think that's one reason why practices are so intense. But come tournament time, we play a lot of folks, and you want to take that step forward.
We got to ask. We don't hear any whistles. We don't hear any basketballs going on. What is our WMIX sports correspondent doing right now since you're talking to us?
He's actually in there running practice as we speak. I'm standing out in the commons.
Oh, you got him busy then. He hasn't been busy in about 11 Saturday mornings.
Yeah, he's actually doing something this morning.
Yeah, I figured he'd be out doing something this morning if that's the case. Our final question, we're going to let you get back to practice. Of course, we'll see you on Friday night when we go cover your game against Sparta next Friday at Sparta. Our WMIX Sports social media question of the week is, if you could pick the university and the sport, where would you go to school and what sport would you play?
Well, I'd go, I didn't have to hesitate on that. I'd go to U of I, Illinois. I live in the state of Illinois. And when I was growing up, I was a Big Ten guy. That would be it, and it would definitely be basketball, hands down. I just can't understand it, why people root for someone outside the state of Illinois. For example, the Cardinals. I don't get that. You know
what I don't
Illinois,
get is
the Cubs, Sox, Blackhawks, Bears, Chicago Fire. Anybody in the state.
What about UK basketball? Why would people on earth go outside the state to root for UK? That's what I don't understand.
I'll tell you what, that's horrible.
Hey, you know what? Because of yesterday, we get recruits, others don't. That's why. That's gone for a long time.
And they stay for a year.
And that's fine. We'll go get more. We got 4 more coming in next year, so plus 2 more we'll get later on. It's fine. Yep. 2 peas in a pod, Coach Cal and Coach Metcalf.
Yeah, all right.
Coach, we will see you this coming week at the Sparta tournament, as Danny said on Friday night. Good luck to the Lady Devils.
Okay, thank you. Go Cubs.
That's Metcalf, head coach of SVW Lady Devils basketball. Of course, they make their radio debut this season, at least with us. Let's see. I totally messed up our broadcast schedule that I handed out to everybody. This is the first generation one that I threw away for everybody else, but was still on my desk this morning. I believe that, what is that, a 7:30 start on Friday night against Sparta?
Yes.
So 7:15 is your pregame on WMIX 94.1 and WMIXsports.com as they will take on the host, Sparta Lady Bulldogs. We hope you'll tune in to the WMIX Sports Basketball Showcases. All high school basketball this season is powered by Community First Bank of the Heartland. Welcome back to Personal Banking. Saturday Sports Show, of course, is powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. We'll talk with Andy Sloan after the break. He is the head coach of the Benton Rangerettes. They will start their season at Marion this coming week. We'll talk with Andrew about that after the break. Again, Saturday Sports Show presented by the Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Here's Jeff Schmidt for Schmidt Chevrolet of Mount Vernon.
The 2014 Impala, I can't say enough about this car. It is such a beautiful car, and the people that drive them are just so happy with the performance, the luxury, the ride and drive. They are so quiet. They compare them to more of the luxury import cars, and the style of the new Impala is second to none, and it's really a beautiful car.
Schmidt Chevrolet of Mount Vernon, 3423 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
This is Chase Landers with Landers Collision Centers. Imagine this. You're driving down the road. It's dark as can be outside. Thank goodness you just had that left headlight bulb replaced. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to see a thing. Now, close your eyes. Okay, don't close your eyes. You're supposed to be driving. Imagine noticing a slight twinkle off to the left, just above the ditch. What is that, you think to yourself? All of a sudden, whap! You've just encountered your first deer hit. The left side of your vehicle is beat up pretty bad. The next thing I want you to imagine is very simple. Picking up your phone and dialing 1-888 Landers to set up your repair. Deer claims are common, and usually a very simple process, which fall under comprehensive coverage. This is Chase Landers, asking you to allow Landers to be your collision repair shop of choice. Whether it be a deer hit, fender bender, or the regular, uh-oh, sorry mom, Landers is here for you whenever you need us. Big or small, Landers fixes them all. 1-888 Landers, that's 1-888 Landers.
High school sports are back, and your source for scores is WMIXsports.com. Also, find archived local sports broadcasts, video highlights, national sports headlines, and more right at your fingertips. Listen and watch live WMIX sports broadcasts from your desktop or any mobile device. Need a score? Want to see a sick dunk? Miss a game? Didn't get up in time for the Saturday sports show? That's right, it's all at WMIXsports.com. Another free service from Withers Broadcasting, WMIXsports.com.
And we welcome you back on the Saturday Sports Show. It's powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
There you go. Our next guest is the head coach of the Benton Rangerettes. He is Andrew Sloan. Coach, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Pretty good. I know you're going to be doing better once the season finally gets here. Of course, you head to the Marion tournament this coming week, and I guess the likes, obviously, of Marion. I believe Carterville's still in that tournament. Vienna at one time in the tournament. So a pretty good tournament, a good test for the Rangerettes to get the season going. And I know you have to be excited that it's finally here.
Yeah, you start practicing. You worry about getting everything in once you start, and you start out with just your basic drills and fundamentals, and then before you know it, it's almost here, and you don't have the plays in, and out of bounds, and what are you going to do to get the zone? And so it's got here quick, and I think we're about ready to play. I know the kids are ready to play, and we've had some good practices, and it'll be interesting to see where we're at on Tuesday night.
Let's talk about the change of staff. You have an entirely new bench. You brought one of the best coaching minds out of retirement this year as far as being on your bench at Benton High School. Talk about that.
Yeah, I guess you're referring to Jeff Roper. He's done a great job so far. He's made the kids better. He's made me better. We'll be going through a drill or talking about something, and he'll say, what's the point of this drill? Are we working offense? Are we working defense? So he's really kept me on my toes, and I look forward to what he's going to bring to the program. I'm very happy, and I know I'm lucky to have him on the bench, and he's going to make us better. He's, like I said, he's going to make the kids better. He's going to make us better as a staff, and it's great to have him on board, and like you said, I'm glad I could get him out of retirement a little bit here.
Well, isn't that like a math teacher to come in and ask, what are we doing this for? What's the solution equation? What's the bottom line? Isn't that typical math teacher stuff?
Absolutely, and there's a lot of math terms that are thrown around during practice, believe it or not. So he's my math guy, and he likes to know why we're doing what we're doing all the time. So it makes me think. So it's great to have him around.
One other thing to ask you is, as you go into the season, you open up at the Marion tournament next week, a very difficult tournament, lots of teams to play. Then, of course, you go with the SVW Lady Devils, first game out of the gate after the tournament, I believe, or one of the first games. A very tough schedule for you, even before you get into that very tough Ohio division of the River to River Conference.
Sure is, and it's early. You could go to that Marion tournament and be 0-4, and in 4 or 5 days. That's certainly not what we want to do, but I know Marion's going to be improved, and then you've got Vienna, Heron, and Carterville, all 20-game winners. Are right at it from a year ago. Heron and Carterville were young, so they're going to have a lot of people back. They've got to be the favorites going into that thing, and then you turn around, like you said, and get Setzer on that Tuesday following. So it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a challenge for us, and we've got a lot of new kids this year, so I'm going to be interested to see how they respond to some adversity and challenges early in the year, and then see how we do.
Challenges early in the year. Of course, you host your own Rangerettes tournament, I believe, at Christmas time. You also go to the Marion tournament. Other than that, talk about some of your non-conference games that are on your schedule for this year.
Like you said, we have Setzer, and then Hamilton County will come in here in early December, and they seem like everybody else on our schedule. They have almost everybody returning, so they're going to be a handful. And then we've got a little team called Nashville coming in. Also in December on a Saturday. We've got DuQuoin on our schedule at the first of the year. This year we're going to the Carterville. We're in the Carterville tournament. It's a Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, about a 12-team tournament. We're looking forward to that and see how that works out in our schedule. So those are most of our non-conference games off the top of my head.
That's not a bad non-conference game after 2 weeks, and of course you've coached girls track for a long time. You've coached on the boys' side basketball-wise. How much did it help you to coach girls track with that experience going into taking this gig in your second year?
I think as far as just coaching the girl athletes, it's helped tremendously. As far as what you do practice-wise, there's not a whole lot of difference maybe in what Coach Weinmiller and what I did. And I was fortunate enough to sit on his bench there for a year. But there's just different ways to approach girls than boys. Definitely, I think that's the biggest thing. And being with the track program for 11, 12 years now has definitely helped me as I started taking this thing on last year. And I think a year into it now, the kids have adjusted to me. I've adjusted to them, and things seem to be running a lot smoother. We're getting in and out of drills and things a little bit quicker. The terminology is a little bit better as far as us being on the same page. So all that stuff seems to be a lot better in year two than it was in year one.
Well, and of course, as we head into year two, as Danny mentioned earlier, we talked about Jeff Roper coming out of retirement to assist you. And I have to ask, is Rod Schertz next?
Coach Schertz came in the other day and watched our practice. So, I'll leave the door open for him too. He may be itching to get back in too. But
okay, now if
with the experience that Coach Schertz has with in the early '90s and with JoJo, he teaches right next door to me. So you can bet that I'll be leaning on him for some advice throughout the year.
If Coach Schertz comes out of retirement for that basketball, and you've already got Coach Roper, how long is it before we see the maroon jogging suits that we saw in Champaign in '92 hit the Benton Rangerettes bench in that case?
I think those are the famous, they've been known as the Don Webb wear. And actually, when Coach Roper said, what are we going to wear to the games? Again, his map's coming out. He wants to know what we're going to wear and what our philosophy is. And this is before I got into coaching. And I said, hey, Coach, you can wear what you want. I'll wear some khakis. But if you want to wear the Don Webb wear, feel free to. I know that's what you wore on Coach Schertz's bench. So, hey, if we get Coach Schertz back, we may be going back to Don Webb wear. If it helps us win some ball games, we'll do it.
Hey, it sounds like Coach Roper's too worried about all this core curriculum stuff. He's trying to bring it in from his classroom into the basketball court. I mean, you and I do a different kind of thing. I mean, he needs to kind of settle down a little bit and just pick his wardrobe, shouldn't he?
He should. He's got too much going on with his coaching gig and his new math curriculum. He needs to just sit back and get that wardrobe picked out. not worry about everything else.
Hey, we'll let you worry about all the big stuff. And, of course, we got our final question for you. It's our WMIX Sports Social Media Question of the Week. And this week's question is, if you could pick the university and the sport, where would you go to school and what sport would you play?
Well, growing up, I was always a Kentucky fan, so I think I always wanted to go to Kentucky and play basketball. Now, I knew by the time I was probably a freshman in high school that wasn't going to happen. But if I could, that's probably where I would choose to go, and it's just because of the tradition and the history and everything about Kentucky basketball. I've never been able to go to a game. I know a guy that goes every once in a while. I've never been invited, but if I were ever lucky enough to get an invite down to Lexington, I'd probably go watch a game.
You're right. Well,
UK would be my choice.
There's some options at the end of the year that I'm looking at right now, but I'm going to tell you right now, you better get that Benton bank account ready to go because it's not cheap this year.
I figured that.
Yeah,
it's about like everything else, huh?
Yeah, we can handle it if we need to, trust me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coach, I know you have the Marion tournament coming up and a busy season after that. Look forward to hopefully seeing you sometime soon, and good luck to the Rangerettes.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for all you do for sports throughout Southern Illinois. You guys do a great job.
Thank you very much. And at Benton Track is his actual Twitter handle. You can give him a follow to stay up to date with the Rangerettes. And, of course, Benton Track as well. So he also is a two-time state champion as the head coach of Rangerette Track and Field. He follows us on Twitter, as should you. We're at WMIX Sports. You can hit us up with the social media answer that way, or you can go to Facebook and give us a like. WMIX Sports there as well. We are asking that if you could go to any college and play any sport, which sport and college would you choose? Simple as that. So our answers are there. We'd like yours as well. Interact with us today on the Saturday Sports Show, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
We'll have an IHSA clinician coming up after the break. He is Aaron Wright. We'll talk about some of the rule changes this year. The National Federation of High Schools and the Illinois High School Association are making points of emphasis as high school basketball games get started on Monday night. We'll be back after this.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, president of Community First Bank. By now you have heard about our new One Checking product. The new One Account is a high-interest earning, free checking account designed for everyone. Unlike other banks that pay interest on higher balance, this account pays interest on all balances. From high schoolers to Warren Buffett, One will work for you. You can talk to one of us at 244-3000 and learn about the details. One, exclusively at Community First Bank. You will be one happy customer. Member FDIC.
Farming is critical to the continued growth of Southern Illinois, and I couldn't be more thankful for the service of the agriculture industry. Hi, Roy Schmidt, Ford dealer at Ford Square, Mount Vernon. We want to salute Farm Bureau members with a special incentive on remaining new 2013 Ford F-150s. If you are a Farm Bureau member, trade in a 1995 or newer Ford Ranger, you can purchase a new 2013 Ford F-150 two-wheel drive for only $18,000 plus tax, title, and destination. All you have to do is finance through Ford Motor Credit. Wow! We can't thank farmers enough for their dedication, but we can offer everyone in the Farm Bureau a great, honest deal on America's #1 truck. Come see one of our sales associates to get the best deal on the heavyweight truck champion at Ford Square, Mount Vernon, 1501 Broadway in Mount Vernon, Illinois, or shop us online at fordsquare.com and find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Mount Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzaik Ibrahim. A skilled cardiologist, Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
And we welcome you back on the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX and WMIXsports.com. It's powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
I'm Chris Hugo. That was Danny Zerwinski. And, of course, Jeff Crow is in studio with us as well as we welcome to the program. He is an IHSA clinician in the sport of basketball. He is Aaron Wright. Aaron, good morning.
Good morning.
So many rules, or at least critical rule changes, I should say, this year. And, of course, one of them has to do with the coach's box. What's up with that?
Well, that's $1 million question. I think that's the buzz going along here. And we have yet, obviously, to see how that's going to play out this year.
The rumor, as you know, and you've been obviously given the instructional clinics and everything else, is last year and then years previous, of course, we went from everybody had to sit, everybody got a little bitty box, then you had the seat belt rule, then you had the bigger box. Now the rumor is if a coach steps out of that box, whether it's for coaching, talking to his own kids, or whatever the case may be, the rumor is it's the technical comes out. That's the warning this year, not a drive-by by an official saying, hey, kind of get yourself back in the box. Is that what you've been told as well?
You are correct. That's what's come down the pipe, and that's going to be a tough one. There's been a lot of discussion on amongst officials, and I've been on the phone with a number of officials talking about how it's going to be handled. And I guess the IHSA is trying to take the gray area out of any issues, any problems, and just come down that if they get out of the coach's box for whatever reason, it's an automatic technical.
And here's the thing, veteran guy like you, your crew, the veteran guys that we see night in, night out, boys and girls basketball-wise, unless a guy, to me, if a coach is a couple steps one way or the other, or he's talking to his team and he has nothing to do with the officials, to me, unless he's putting on a show, or he or she are putting on a show, it's one of those things where, just walk by, hey, you can still coach, just keep yourself close. It kind of puts you as an official in a bad spot now because you're going to have to call a T on a guy or a gal that may not even be on to you guys in this case.
You are 100% correct. I think it transfers everything onto the official. In years past, officials with good game management skills or good relationships with coach or good communication skills, we can control that coach. Most time on the sideline. You walk by someone, hey, coach, help me out. Get back in your box. Whatever, you can talk them back in. And most coaches, there are a lot of coaches that don't, get on the officials very much and are just out of the box coaching, getting subs in. But this year, it switches all that pressure, if you say, or whatever, that now you got to worry about the coach. You got to worry about the box. Can't concentrate on the game, maybe, especially if you've got coaches that are up and down the sidelines. So it puts this all on us. And the pressure also comes with, especially maybe some young officials that are trying to get in schools, trying to make a name for themselves, move up the ladder. If we just go out by the leather of the wall sometimes and start whacking these coaches that are coming out, we're worried about our schedule. Our school's going to hire us back. Mm-hmm. Our AD is going to hire us because we're just throwing away technicals of these coaches, even though we're following the rules. So a lot of factors come in on how to handle this, and I'm curious to see how it plays out once the games get started here in another week or two.
Is this a case of something that we usually see at other levels too, is we're going to call this rule right out of the gate, bang, 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 and by about Christmas, midwinter tournament time, it's going to be an afterthought, nobody will call it then at that point?
Well, you would hope that wouldn't happen. What you would hope would happen, that is, everybody, and when I say everybody, all the officials are consistent about this, and so we do make some technical fouls, and we do, if there's got to be a lot called, call it early, and hopefully that will police itself. Coaches know, all right, if I get out of the box, I'm going to get a technical foul. And so the coaches start to adhere to the rule a little more. And I'm sure there's going to be coaches out there that hate the rule and going to push the limits and test your officials and all that good stuff, because that's how it happens. But I hope that it's consistent, and that's kind of in basketball. I don't think coaches really care a whole lot, I say that with a tongue-in-cheek, care about rule changes, as long as there's consistency at both ends and they can see it and they know it. If I'm getting these calls on me and I'm getting them at the other end on the other team, then there's not a whole lot that either coach can say as far as adhering to the rules.
Other rules, of course, one notice is college basketball this year. They are calling everything very tight. You cannot have a hand on the ball handler. You can't be as physical. A lot more free throws, a lot more fouls being called. Is that something that's trickled down from the upper ranks down to the high school this year as well?
Absolutely. Hand checks are being another point of emphasis. I've had a couple college games this year. We are calling a ton more of hand checks and body checks and the forearms. They're just wanting to clean it up. And it got to the point where this year it's not really just a point of emphasis, it's a rule change. And you got your hand out. So that's going to be a point of emphasis on the high school, too, is getting your hands off. Play defense with your feet, basically, is the language of it. Quit putting the elbows on, the two hands on, the guiding. And so, especially with your veteran officials, sometimes you're going to see a lot more hand checks at high school this year. And what it boils down to is just cleaning up the play, getting hands off, getting bodies off, and playing defense like you're really supposed to.
Looking, at that too, another thing is, the hand checks are gone, the physical contact's gone, basically. Another thing too is, do you think that calling a charge or a defender taking a charge is also going to be a thing of the past as well?
Well, I don't think so personally. I thought at the college level, since I've had those games a little more this year, it started earlier, I thought that offensive fouls would start to be a thing of the past, but we've had some. I think the officials I've worked with have done a good job of going ahead and keeping good calls, please, the defense being in position, and we'll go ahead and ref the defense and not punishing the defense for a good play just because the offensive players got the advantage a little bit. So I hope it doesn't happen because that's good defense, good help defense taking offensive fouls down the lane. As long as the hands off by the primary defender, I think you'll go ahead and still see normal offenses and charges.
I look at this. Is there any other, but obviously the foul box or the technical box, coach's box? Is there anything else that we as basketball fans should be aware of as far as new rules that we're going to look forward to starting next week, as far as besides the coach's box and the hands-on stuff?
Well, probably not that you will know, but now coaches can come off the bench to help break up a fight or an altercation. So that's another tricky one. And make a note that these are all first-year rule changes. So there's always going to be good and bad. And luckily for me, I've never had a fight on the floor at a high school game, so don't know how this is going to play out either. But coaches coming out of the box to break is one. The only thing you run in with that is being devil's advocate. Say you have an altercation on the floor and head coaches come out, and the white head coach comes out and they're pulling off a red player, and that red player gets mad, or that red player gets coaches get mad because the white coach is pulling the opposing player off, and so it's a little tricky when you come out even with that when emotions are high. So that's another rule change, though.
Looking at the year, how many games high school wise you figuring on doing once you start your season?
Well, I normally do 50 to 60 games, but of course this year, which my partner is real happy about. My kids I have a sophomore and a freshman, both will be playing varsity basketball at DuQuoin, so I've had to cut a lot of games back the next 3 years for my kids to sit and watch them play, but I'll probably end up doing 30 games this year, probably 20 college, so trying to do as much as I can. It's just going to be a long winter for the right household.
I don't want to start any stuff between crews, but somebody has already texted me this morning and said that we picked the wrong guy to be on today, that somebody else in your crew is the one with the radio savvy.
Oh, you're right. Corey just texted me a while ago and said he was going on the DuQuoin radio show with his brother. I said, I don't think they have enough time on the air to let you go through everything and talk. He does like to talk on the radio.
Yeah, so we got told we picked the wrong guy. We felt we picked the right guy, but we'll never hear the end of it until we get him on. I'm sure that's how that's going to go.
Oh, he loves it. He should be a celebrity.
Should be. I thought he was.
In his mind, he is.
Yeah.
Of course, that brings us to our final question. It's always the WMIX Sports Social Media question of the week, and this week we're asking everyone, if you could go to any college and play any sport, what would you choose?
I would go to Georgetown basketball.
Nice, a Hoya.
I'm a Hoya. I love Georgetown. When I was a kid, I loved the way they played. Up and down, trap. Just became a fan of it, and I just like college basketball too. So
T-shirts and the gray navy shoes, that kind of gets you going there.
Yeah, I love it. There's a lot of tradition there, and probably take a lot of heat for that. A lot of people don't like Georgetown, but been a fan since the late '70s, early '80s, and just enjoy it. I'm watching Otto Porter, play.
Right.
Quick story this summer. His team came down to FAU team camp. Got to talk to his brother a few minutes. brother's a sophomore, I think, sophomore, junior at Scott City. But it's kind of interesting.
I mean, I grew up, of course, I had to watch Kentucky lead at half in a Final Four at 84 and absolutely shoot ice cold to let Georgetown win in Seattle.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Yeah, but revenge was given back in 85 when Georgetown couldn't win it at Rupp Arena, so it was okay, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think. I don't
memory.
think Kentucky and Georgetown have played since 84.
What's that?
I don't believe Kentucky and Georgetown have crossed paths since 84.
No, I don't think so. I'm trying to think. I don't think they've ever played.
Not since the Final Four. That's interesting. Huh.
Yeah, with traditions, Georgetown's been around a long time, obviously, with the tradition. You'd think some of those rivalries they'd want to get started, but I thought maybe since the breakup of the Big East that, the schedule changed a little bit, but it really hasn't. It brought Creighton on this year, which is interesting.
No doubt about that. We appreciate the insight. We appreciate some of the talk and some of the points of emphasis this year and what we're going to see as the high school basketball season progresses. Aaron, we appreciate it. We'll see you sometime soon in the gym, I'm sure.
Yep, thank you.
That's Aaron Wright, of course, NIHSA clinician, of course, not to be confused, as we remind you with some of the .comers. But we appreciate his time and his expertise this morning as things they are a-changing with the rules year in and year out with the National Federation of High Schools and the IHSA.
Yeah, I mean,
coach's box thing intrigues me.
The coach's box, because I'm thinking of handful of guys right now that are up and down that sideline, baseline the box to scores table.
I'm thinking of our people we know real well that like to wander and roam, and nothing bad about it. But I mean, you might find Jeff Londen like half a mile away from his coaching box, or Wayne Hari might wander down
Scott Gamber,
half court. Yeah.
Shane Hawkins at Marion,
yeah.
Todd Tripp at Gorville, guys that walk up and down
pacers.
the floor. And they're going to have
Mike
to
Waldo, yes.
The Mike Waldo at Edwardsville. They're going to have to. I think what's eventually going to happen is they're going to try it this year, and then the coaches are going to come back and say, okay, if you want us to stay in the box, give us the college box from point by the scores table to the baseline, and that will happen. I think that's what the next step will be. It's been an evolution of the coaches box in high school basketball for 25 years. That will be next, I think, is the college coaches box.
Well, and that's the thing is at least, I guess, see how it goes. But, I mean, you have to, when you take, sometimes you have to give, and we'll see how that impacts some of the area coaches as well. So that's the notable thing that I took away from that entire conversation was just some of the uncertainty. And, and I thought Aaron brought up a great point is sometimes things aren't always black and white or cut and dry. There's a lot of gray areas and a lot of middle ground, and that's, love it or not, that's something you have to deal with. You have to think about if you're an official, is this school going to hire me back? And things like that. It's not just as easy as making a call. Sometimes there's retribution that isn't supposed to be there but is.
As this, it's funny, we got a tweet in here from at Shirts Rod. I mean, there were some coaches that used both coaches' boxes.
Yes.
They'd go from one end to the other. They didn't care what box they were in. You know what? And the coach Shirts, there were coaches that would start in one gym, walk out to the other gym, and come back because they didn't like what was going on. They just left. So, I mean, the antics, they're going to cut back on that. I think you're going to see a lot of long games because you're going to have a lot of foul calls. You're going to have a lot more free throw shot, which may be good or bad depending on how free throw shooting is right now.
The block charge thing is a concern.
I think charges are things that pass in college basketball. I mean, you remember when you were told to put your foot on the out-of-bounds line to take a charge to cut somebody off, either baseline or sideline. That got outlawed. You couldn't do that. Now, in college, you can't do the Duke flop. I mean, you can't put on the performance that Duke's done for 25 years. I don't know how Duke's going to play defense this year because they have flopped for years. People get in miles of their players and they'd fall down, but you can't take a charge hardly at all in college basketball. And I think in high school, you're going to see the same thing. If you try to body up and take a charge, it's not going to happen. I mean, I think you're going to see longer games, more free throws, maybe some higher scores, but you're going to see kids with their hands up in the air like, what's going on? Because by the time this edict came out, summer basketball was over. So a lot of people have to, like coaches, have to have practices called very differently and blow that whistle when they're scrimmaging to get those kids used to it already.
Yeah, and we see a lot of basketball year in and year out, and it's amazing to see the differences in styles of many officials, and doesn't mean it's good or bad, but from girls basketball to boys basketball to the more athletic basketball to just the different styles that we're going to see year in and year out. It'll be very interesting to see how things are called. And we will get started on Tuesday night. The Woodlawn Lady Cardinals travel to DuQuoin to take on Murfreesboro in the tournament. 6:45 your pregame, 7 o'clock is your tip as that opens up the WMIX Sports Basketball Showcase. Thursday, we have the Wayne City Lady Indians at Weber Township. That'll be probably around a 7 o'clock airtime there in that regular season contest. Friday night, of course, we'll go to Sparta as the SVW Lady Devils see tournament in action against the host Lady Bulldogs. 7:15 pregame, 7:30 tip. And then the first Mount Vernon Rams broadcast will be on WMIX FM with video at WMIXsports.com next Monday, the 25th, with a 6:45 pregame, 7 o'clock tip from the Pyramid Plus in Heron against the Marion Wildcats. Lady Rams open their season. Of course, on that same night at the Nashville tournament, they'll take on the Oakville Lady Rockets. That'll be on AM 940. Audio only at WMIXsports.com with a 6:15 pregame and a 6:30 tip from the Nashville tournament. So that's just a brief glance at your basketball coverage. All the games are powered by Community First Bank of the Heartland again this season, so we appreciate that. That's pretty well a quick glance at the early goings-on in girls' high school basketball, of course, as many seasons will get started this coming week. I know the Centralia Annies will open up at the Salem tournament this coming week. I know our boy Ryan Roddy will have the call of some of those games on our sister station, X95, next week. So it's hard to believe it.
Salem opens up. DuQuoin opens up. Hamilton County in 2 weeks. Of course, Marion this week. I mean, Nashville in the 2 weeks. I mean, it's... Like I said, it's going to hit and going to hit hard because, with the calendar the way it is this year, you set up a possibility, you go, and I got to look at dates here. You have a week of girls basketball tournaments this week, then Thanksgiving, the 25th through the 29th of tournaments. Then you go to the next week, which is December 2nd through the 7th. That's post-Thanksgiving tournament, a couple of them there. Then you get 5 days before the Wayne's, that week, the 9th to the 14th is the Conrad Allen. That rolls you into the last week of the regular season before Christmas tournaments start on Thursday the 26th. So your 4-day tournaments will go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday, which will be nice at Mater Dei and at Cesar-Valere to get some extra games in. Your 2-dayers will go Friday, Saturday. 3-dayers go Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So a nice little setup for high school basketball. Then, of course, you jump into 14 in a couple weeks in midwinter.
Yeah.
It's going to go quick.
Got the Effingham T-Town tournament on the 27th and 28th of December. Of course, a 5-team affair.
Ideas? Do we know any ideas on that?
On how that's going to work?
Yeah, how's that going to work?
2 games on the first day. Your final game will be on the last day. Actually, how it's going to work, some teams will play a game on the first day and 2 games on the second day, I think. But trophy games will be at Effingham. There's going to be some pools that play at T-Town and some pools that play at Effingham High School. And early indications have the Rams in a pool with T-Town and Mattoon, I believe. So we'll see how that works out at the Effingham T-Town Holiday Classic coming up on the 27th and 28th of December. So, yeah, we'll see how that works out. Of course, as that is a new tournament, I'm told that they hope to have some more teams there in the not-too-distant future, but a 6-team tournament this year, of course. Not 5, but 6 teams. And you get 3 games out of that, so we'll see how that all happens. Of course, girls volleyball will wind down today, and a barn burner going on at the Redbird Arena right now between New Athens and West Prairie in the third-place game. New Athens took the first set 25-18, fell in the second 25-30, make that 13-25. They're all tied up in set 3 at 14, so we'll see how that works out. Stu Strauss will try for the 1A title day against Rockford Keith Country Day. In 2A, in the third-place game, it is Deer Creek Mackinac, better known as DMAC, against Fieldcrest.
Upset. They got upset yesterday.
Yes, they did. And then Edwards County will try for the 2A state title against Elmhurst Immaculate Conception Catholic. That'll be in the 2A state championship. Good luck to the late.
Our DuQuoin
Lady
friends
Lions.
know them, EIC.
They do from football. 3A, Central lost to Wheaton St. Francis yesterday, so the Cougars will have Chicago Peyton in the third-place game, while it'll be Wheaton St. Francis and LaSalle Peru in the championship. While in the 4A, in the third-place game, it'll be New Trier against Crystal Lake South, and then Benet Academy. Is that Bennett or Benet? Benet. There's one T. Against Mother Macaulay in the 4A state championship game.
Couldn't get out of that.
No kidding.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. Not to mention quite a few.
I choked it down as long as I could. It wasn't happening.
Yeah, 32 quarterfinals today in high school football, or between today and last night, of course.
Yep. You got to look at Althoff goes to Rochester. Good
4
luck
p.m.
with
start
that.
today.
4 p.m. start. Okay, Mount Carmel hosts Greenville at 1.
Noon pregame on Wing FM.
Edwardsville,
Wing FM.
East St. Louis goes to New Lenox Providence.
Yep.
Providence Catholic, what they call it now, and then Edwardsville.
How about Highland and SHG and
Highland SHG. Now, that one's been a lot of chit-chat going on here and there. A lot of trash talk. They played before. Well, Highland went to take them on, and SHG played, so that may be part of that. Edwardsville has a game today at home. Of course, I expect them to be, if they're not at DeKalb, I'll be shocked in Edwardsville.
Things certainly setting up for that, aren't they?
You know what's setting up for next week?
What's that?
If all the forces go right, Chicago, Mount Carmel at Edwardsville. That would be a must. That would be a must.
You're right. Yes, it would. That's a great call.
Mm-hmm.
Good eating, good football, good other things.
Yeah.
So there we go. Good times, even. That's pretty well going to do it for us today on the Saturday Sports Show. I just looked at the clock. I couldn't believe it was 9:58, at least according to my laptop. But heck, it's probably still in Eastern time right now. So, yeah, that is the time. But, of course, that's going to do it for us today. And, of course, we appreciate you for taking the time to tune into the Saturday Sports Show this morning. We hope you found it exhilarating, as always, as we previewed girls basketball that gets underway this week. Next week, we'll talk with some of the coaches that get underway at Thanksgiving. Of course, that will include Scott Gamber and Jeff Lonan, head coaches of Mount Vernon Rams and Lady Rams basketball, respectively. We'll try to catch up with maybe another Gamber and some of the teams that get started, of course, at the Nashville girls tournaments, the Christopher Thanksgiving tournament, and some of the other tournaments along the way as well. That'll be coming up next week. We can't wait to talk to you then. We hope you'll enjoy the archive we'll throw up at WMIXsports.com for you. But our basketball coverage gets started on Tuesday night. It's the Woodlawn Lady Cardinals and the Murfreesboro Lady Devils on 94.1 FM with a 6:45 pregame, 7 o'clock tip from the DuQuoin Girls Tip-Off Classic. That'll be on Tuesday night, 94.1 FM, WMIXsports.com. St. Louis Rams are off this week, so there'll be no Rams football tomorrow on AM 940. They'll return next week with a noon pregame and a noon kickoff on AM 940 next week. Other coverage to talk about, of course, the Mount Vernon Rams get started on Monday, November the 25th, 6:45 pregame, 7 o'clock tip-off against Marion from the Pyramid Plus tournament. We'll have video coverage from that one at WMIXsports.com as the Rams make their boys basketball debut on Monday the 25th at that Thanksgiving tournament in Heron. Lady Rams, of course, will get started on AM 940, audio only at WMIXsports.com with a 6:15 pregame and a 6:30 tip. That's right here on WMIX Mount Vernon on Monday night. Of course, we'll get to your NBC News here in just a moment. Thanks so much for tuning in. We will see you next week.